Now to the global economy and the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Germany has just reported a 2.2% drop in GDP during the course of the first 3 months of the year. Well, let's get more now on the impacts of the pandemic, and we can speak now to Iain Begg, who's a research fellow at the London School of Economics. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us. When you look at those numbers from Germany, 2.2% contraction in Q1, doesn't sound that bad, does it?
Yes, but it's not really very relevant because quarter one's already happened. Countries went into lockdown at different times. As a consequence, the impact on their economy was felt differently. France had a much more severe first quarter downturn than Germany, but the real damage is going to be done in the current quarter. So although it looks as though Germany escaped relatively lightly up to now, it's going to get worse.
Okay, the Eurozone's finance ministers are currently holding talks, and they're talking about various initiatives, credit lines and the like for the most vulnerable economies. Do you get the impression the right medicine is being administered to Europe's economies?
I think it's being dragged out of the European finance ministers and the heads of state and government very reluctantly, and we still see some of the same old disputes going on between the creditor countries of Northern Europe, especially the Dutch and the Finns and the Germans, against the debtor countries of Southern Europe, notably the Italians and the Spaniards, with France poised somewhere in between. They tried to agree a 540 billion euro rescue package, and that should kick in during June. But the much bigger recovery package, the European Recovery Fund, is still under negotiation. The Commission is expecting to come out with proposals, but they're being contested. And there's a lack of willingness across European capitals to share the burden in this, which does not augur well for a collective response.
And do you get the impression that some countries are therefore going to emerge stronger than others? And if so, why would that be?
Well, for many reasons. Italy went into this crisis. It was worst hit initially and already had a very big public debt. Italian public debt is expected to increase from the currently around 130% of GDP to 150 to 160, just with the measures that the Italian government has announced earlier this week. Germany went into the crisis with 60% of public debt as a share of GDP, so there's much more room for manoeuvre. But German public opinion is not really prepared to share that room for manoeuvre with other countries, and that's the core of the dilemma facing the European response.
Okay, and just lastly, I mean, do you think that, if you think about all the pent-up demand these last few months, people haven't been able to go out and buy the things they want to buy and go on the holidays they want to go on. Do you think there will be some major momentum in the economy after the pandemic has passed? Do you foresee that?
I think that's more difficult to guess. There's a lot of optimism around the idea of what you're describing, namely the V-shaped recession, a sharp fall followed by a sharp increase. But there are many activities which have been locked down where there isn't the pent-up demand you're talking about. Yes, we'll no doubt all want to go and get haircuts when the lockdown ends, but the haircuts that we haven't had during the lockdown are not going to be brought back in, and therefore will not be the demand that's pent up. It'll just be normal demand. At the same time, there are many businesses which have simply lost capacity and are going to be wiped out. Cafes, restaurants, other leisure activities which are no longer able to survive. So my fear is that rather than a V-shaped recovery, it's going to be L-shaped. We start from a lower base.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us. I'm going to leave it there. Iain Begg, Research Fellow at the London School of Economics. Thank you very much indeed.